I have a million things going on and I don't have time for anything else. I feel like I'm going crazy. What's up, Rafael Cortez, back on the Entrepreneur Mindset series. This is a little bit of a story time video. So I just came back from vacation. Ignore the tan. I fell asleep at the beach. That was pretty cool. But here's the thing. A couple of things came at me, right? I'm always thinking mindset. I'm always thinking entrepreneurship and how to become better and how to move towards that next goal. And I think it's almost like a vicious side effect of being an entrepreneur. And I know for a fact that I am not the only one who's wired that way, who thinks that way. Most of my friends do. Most of the people who listen to anything that I have to say are wired in a similar fashion. Now, here's the thing. I've made a conscious effort over the last several years to become better at meditation, to become better at understanding the energy from within and operating in a more of a holistic way rather than that hustle way that's always just achieving, right? It's so easy though. It's so easy to fall into the trap of getting caught up in the taskiness, in the human side of things, and we forget about the being side. So this is really a reminder of the need. We all need to take the time to just be with ourselves. What does that mean? What does it mean by just being? All right, you sit there and you sit with yourself, you sit with your thoughts, and you take time to just be in that moment and give yourself a little bit of a release from everything that's going on. You don't have to be away on a beach. You don't have to be on vacation. You don't have to wait for Sunday to take some time for yourself. If you take 5 minutes a day just to be with yourself and to sit there and give your mind that little reset, it's gonna go a long way. All right, so slow down. If you feel like you don't have the time to slow down, that's when you gotta do it twice, all right? Our mind it's wired to process linear thinking. And think of it as almost like a train of thought, like literally a train of thought. You see this train coming in the morning when you wake up, and the train keeps going and going and going and going and going and going and going that whole time while you're awake, all right? So it's thought after thought after thought after thought after thought. If you think back at how neurologically, how we're wired, if you think about that, it's a linear thought process. We're wired for linear thought process and problem solving. All right. So the reptilian brain is going to want to find a problem to solve. Why? Because it's over, millions of years, we were wired for survival. So if there was a problem, the only thing that mattered was to solve it and survive, all right? We're still wired that way. So understand that part. We are wired for problem solving and survival. Now, if you have to make a conscious effort, all right? If you don't stop that, if you're not intentional about putting a gap in there and then creating that little reset button, if you're not intentional about that, it's not gonna happen. You are gonna be thinking about one thing and then the next thing and then the next thing and then the task and the to-do list and what do I have to do here and what do I have to do there, and you get into this habit of feeling like, all right, there's something I'm missing. And I guarantee you that you've had that thought before. If you're sitting there in the couch and you're used to performing and being a person that's always continuously going, you sit there with yourself sometime and you feel like you're wasting time. You feel like you're missing stuff and like, all right, what am I missing? There's something that I should be doing right now. Sometimes there's not. The reality is that sometimes there's not. However, we look for it. Why? Because we're already wired that way. We fell into the habit of trying to fill in the gaps of every, single little space that we could have in our day. We try to fill it up with something, with a to-do list, with a call, with a, whatever. And we fall into that taskiness of things. So the big thing here is to intentionally create the space that you need for creativity to flow in. All right, so take time to be. What I do is, even if it's 5 minutes, with yourself in the morning where you sit down and all you're doing is just kind of counting your breaths and there's no critical thinking taking place. You're not worried about where you have to go, if you're going to get the groceries, if you're going to close a deal, if you have to restructure a process, if you got to fire an employee, doesn't matter. If you take time with yourself every single day. Find a gap throughout the day to do it. Even if it's, again, just 5 minutes, it's gonna give you that break, right? So the train of thought that's continuously going and full of information takes a break. There's a period of time there where you're not worried about what you have to do, if you're missing anything. You're just taking time for yourself. And it's not, we make it sound more complicated than it really is. It's not, it's just sitting there. It's literally sitting there with yourself doing nothing. All right, a lot of people do that, their whole life. That's not what I'm saying. But if you're an achiever, you need to make the conscious effort of just sitting there and giving yourself some time to process, some time to breathe, and it's like a spa day for your mind, right? You're taking your brain to the spa for 5 minutes. That's what you're doing. So I love doing that. I mean, starting with 5 minutes, and then I like to, right after that, I usually like to combine it with journaling. I sit down and I'll start writing, just free flow writing, anything that kind of flows into my mind. I'll do a mind dump there. But to me, that whole exercise it's re-energizing. All right, so it gets me back into my fresh thought, and the creative process kicks in. So again, if you're looking at this whole train of thought that lasts the entire day, you have to create intentional gaps in it so the creative process of problem solving can come in. Creativity needs some space to work, and you have to do that intentionally. It doesn't happen if you keep jumping from one task to the next, to the next, to the next, all right? So take some time to be, and if you want to take it to the other side of things, I mean, meditation-wise, this is a form of meditation. Take some time to just refresh and connect with yourself, and that's gonna do the same thing. It's gonna have the same effect. You're gonna create that gap that your brain, that your thought process needs to have throughout the day to feel refreshed. And I mean, magical stuff happens when you do that, and you give your brain some time just to be, some time to do its own thing, but you have to create that space, all right? Understand that creative problem solving cannot happen if you don't give it intentional space for it to work, all right? So tap into that whole world of energy that you can tap into if you just sit there with yourself for 5 minutes. Again, if you feel like you don't have the time, that's why you need to do it twice, all right? Let me know your thoughts on this. Drop a comment, make sure that you subscribe, you like the video, and I'll catch you on the next one. Stay focused, you got this.